The atmosphere is just electric. We are at the final race, the championship decider, and the tension on this grid is something you can almost feel.
Mm.
This isn't just about who has the fastest car on Sunday. It's about psychological traps, strategic risks, and honestly, just surviving 58 laps.
It really is.
We've gone through a whole stack of sources deep, qualifying analysis, telemetry breakdowns, race modeling for Abu Dhabi, and our mission today is to give you the shortcut. We're going to decode this starting grid.
Yeah.
Specifically that front three. Max Verstappen on pole, Lando Norris P2, Oscar Piastri P3. What does that seemingly perfect McLaren sandwich actually mean when the lights go out?
It means chaos. I mean, carefully hidden chaos, but chaos nonetheless. And before we even get to the strategy, we have to talk about Max.
That lap.
That lap. He took pole by 0.2 of a second. That wasn't just fast. People are calling it magical. And you have to remember, coming into this weekend, the feeling was that the Red Bull was maybe even a little bit inferior to the McLaren on pace.
Right.
For him to pull that out of the bag, it just completely reset the board for everyone.
So here's where the pressure really starts. If you're Lando Norris, sitting there in P2, you might think, okay, I can be relatively calm here. Max has to win. I just need P3 for the title. I've got my teammate right behind me as a buffer.
Yep.
So why is there absolutely no peace of mind for Norris or for McLaren?
Tranquility is a dangerous illusion here. I mean, having Piastri and P3 seems great. It seems protective. But the real danger is having your two title contenders right next to each other on the grid.
But they're teammates. Can't Zach Brown just, tell Piastri to protect Lando off the line?
Impossible. You can't issue team orders for the start. It's against the regs. And more importantly, it's against physics.
Okay.
Both of those drivers want the best start they can get. And here's the detail, the really critical detail people miss. Piastri starts on the clean side of the track.
Can you just break that down for everyone? We hear that phrase a lot, the clean side.
Absolutely. So the clean side is where the racing line is. All weekend, cars have been driving there, laying down rubber. It has much, much better grip.
And P2, where Norris is, that's the dirty side.
Exactly. Less rubber, more dust. It means Piastri is actually more likely to get the jump off the line, or at least be right alongside Norris heading into turn one.
Whoa.
And if Piastri does get past Norris, Lando is instantly shuffled down to P3. He's not fighting Max anymore. Suddenly he's dealing with George Russell with the Ferraris.
His whole race line is compromised.
Totally compromised. He's on the defensive, and meanwhile, Max is just gone. He's escaped out front. The championship is suddenly being fought in the midfield traffic.
So the start becomes this exercise in risk management, not a chance to attack Max. And that brings us to the scenario that must be keeping McLaren up at night.
The worst nightmare.
The two McLarens touching in turn one.
That is the ultimate disaster. And that corner at Yas Marina, it is notorious for first-lap incidents. We saw Verstappen spin Hülkenberg there back in 2016.
And Verstappen and Piastri had a close call there just last year, didn't they?
They did. It's just a braking zone that invites contact. And if those two McLarens touch, and one or both are out, it's just the most catastrophic way to lose a championship.
So given that risk, why can't McLaren just prioritize Norris? He's the lead contender. Why is Piastri so critical from the very first meter?
They can't afford to sacrifice him, not early on. And it's because of what we call the firewall effect.
The firewall.
Piastri has to be that aggressive cutoff point. He has to be constantly challenging Max, or at least threatening to, for the first part of the race. It stops Max from just driving off into the sunset.
So he's controlling Red Bull's strategy.
Exactly. And think of it this way. What if Norris has a slow pit stop later on? Or makes a small mistake and drops to P4? McLaren desperately needs Piastri to be right there in P2 or P3, ready to attack Max. He's the strategic ace they have to keep in their back pocket.
That puts McLaren in such an uncomfortable position, doesn't it? They've got two drivers who could win the title at the start, so they can't control Piastri's race, at least not until things settle down.
It's so uncomfortable. And this tension, it creates this incredible constraint on Norris's own thinking. The sources all point this out. Norris cannot, under any circumstances, even think about a high-risk move on Max.
You mean the 0-0 scenario, taking them both out?
Taking them both out, it's off the table.
But why? That's a classic move in F1 history.
Because of Oscar Piastri. If Norris and Verstappen crash and they're both out of the race,
Piastri inherits the lead?
And the World Championship. He started P3, he would win the title. It completely removes the most aggressive endgame tactic a challenger has. Norris is forced to race clean.
That's a psychological straitjacket.
It is. It simplifies the job for Max, fundamentally. Wow. That is fascinating. So Norris is forced to rely on speed and strategy, not aggression. And if they get through the start, that brings us right to the mid-race strategy and the most volatile part of this whole thing, the tires.
Okay, yeah, let's get into the data. Before qualifying, teams were split. Is it a one-stop, is it a two-stop? The long runs on Friday gave us the answer, and it was a huge surprise.
What did they actually show, comparing Max and the McLarens?
So Max ran a really long stint on the medium tire, almost double what the McLaren guys did. And the big takeaway was that the medium tire life was way shorter than anyone thought.
It just fell apart.
Pretty much. If you look at Max's data, his tire just died around lap 8 of his stint. The pace just fell off a cliff. He went from doing consistent 1.29.2s to 1.29.4s in climbing.
And Norris was similar.
His pace was a bit more inconsistent, but yeah, he also hit that degradation wall right around the same lap 8 mark.
So even though Lando looked maybe a little quicker for the first few laps, Max's underlying consistency was still better. Far more consistent. He's still the favorite, for sure. But that tight tire window, that cliff at lap 8, that adds real risk. And it opens the door for the chasers.
The wild cards.
Which brings us to the two judges of this race. Mercedes and Ferrari. They're starting a bit further back. They have very little to lose.
So they can attempt an aggressive two-stop.
An alternative strategy to exploit that tire window, exactly.
And that takes us right back to the legendary 2016 Abu Dhabi race, doesn't it?
It really does. In 2016, you had Hamilton leading, intentionally backing everyone up to his rival, Rosberg. And that allowed Vettel, who was on a two-stop with fresh tires, to just charge through at the end. Mercedes or Ferrari could try that exact same thing here.
So if they commit to that two-stop, they arrive in the last 10 laps with much fresher tires, right when Max might have to, drop anchor and slow down to save his own degraded set.
This is McLaren's strategic tightrope. It's a brutal choice. Max, as the leader, will likely do the optimal one-stop to protect his track position.
So Norris has to copy him.
Norris has to mirror Max to protect his own position. But if they both commit to the one-stop, they're sitting ducks for the two-stoppers at the end.
Which means Piastri.
Piastri, the firewall, has to be used to cover the alternative strategy. McLaren might have to pit him early or keep him out late to mirror whatever Mercedes or Ferrari do just to stop them from jumping both McLarens.
It's a multi-team chess match. Okay, let's switch gears for a second. That pole lap, you called it magical. The telemetry shows exactly how Max found those 2/10. How did he do it?
Yeah, the telemetry is crystal clear on this. Most of the time, about 1.5 tenths was found in one section. The low to medium speed chicane at turns 13 and 14.
That's interesting. You'd think it would be in a high-speed corner.
You would, but the magic was in the precision. Max braked maybe 1.5 meters later than Norris into turn 13. And here's the key. He sacrificed a little bit of entry speed.
Okay.
He was willing to be a couple kilometers per hour slower on the way in because it allowed him to hit the apex perfectly and get on the throttle a fraction of a second sooner on the exit.
So he maximized his exit speed and traction.
A perfect, calculated, risk-managed piece of driving.
The difference between great and a championship-level lap. Now, what about the internal McLaren battle? The gap between Norris and Piastri was just 29 milliseconds. I mean, that's nothing.
It's unbelievable, and the sources confirm this. The entire 29 millisecond gap between them was decided at the exit of the very last corner.
The entire gap.
The entire gap. For the whole rest of the lap, they were virtually identical. Piastri was a bit stronger in the heavy braking zones, but Norris just nailed that final corner exit slightly better. It just proves that either one of them could have been P2.
Which just underlines how intense that fight into turn 1 is going to be. So what does this all mean for Verstappen? He's on pole, he's got to win, but even he sounded cautious. He said he needs some luck from behind.
And that caution is totally warranted because of how unstable this race is, strategically. For McLaren, surviving turn 1 is everything. After that, it's all about Piastri's role as that firewall and the risk from Mercedes and Ferrari rolling the dice on that two-stop.
I agree. If both McLarens survive the start, and if Max can't pull away immediately, Norris has the pace and the asset in Piastri to manage this title himself.
As long as those judges don't interfere and create chaos.
Exactly. So for you, as you're watching this championship decider, here's the thought. If Max and Norris are on the one-stop, and Mercedes and Ferrari are on the two-stop, what kind of safety car, which this circuit loves to provide, could completely change the game? Wiping out the gap and giving a massive race-winning advantage to the cars on that fresher rubber right at the very end. That unpredictability is what makes this so incredible. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Apply this knowledge and enjoy what could be the most high-stakes race of the entire season.